There we go. Good morning, everybody. There you go. Little bit of poll for everybody. Talking Niagara is the smartest introduction to the working day in Niagara. Yes, or are you going to think about that for a little while? Right. Why do I get Zoom Workspace coming up every 5 minutes?
Come again? Come again?
I've got Zoom Workspace coming up
Come again?
every
What was
5
that?
minutes. Yeah, I don't know why I've got Zoom opening on my machine every 5 minutes. Anyway, welcome. And yeah, you see my poll of the day. It's the we're the smartest show or
Talking Niagara. We gotta read it. I can't read it. It's too small.
Talking Niagara is the smartest introduction to the working day in Niagara. Yes, or you're going to think
Where
about
did that come from?
There's a new poll system available here.
Well,
there you
definitely
go.
Yes. Definitely yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna change that. That was an article in the Globe and Mail. Talking Niagara, that's the best show.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Anyway, so
good morning.
Let's get this
good morning, Betty. Good morning,
everyone.
Yeah. And there you go. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning, everyone.
All right. Morning, everybody. So here was a question yesterday, which we kind of touched on yesterday. Okay, floor crossing, a Canadian pastime. So what would you say, what prime minister attracted the largest number of floor crossers in Canadian history?
I think it was Johnny MacDonald, huh?
Actually, Robert Borden attracted 17 MPs to his government during the First World War.
17?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
that was exceptional circumstances, right?
Yeah,
there was a war going on.
Exactly, a war situation. So probably what happened is those 17 MPs moved across in order to actually ensure as like a national unity type government.
Yeah,
but
we don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would suggest is probably likely the case with Robert Borden. But apart from that, John A. Macdonald, in his government in 1869, attracted nine people in a single parliamentary session.
Well, we've had 4 or 5 now. We've had 5 now, and that's a kind of a high number. So, as I said before, there's something about Carney and his brand new image of liberals. It's not Justin's liberals, no, not the flaky dudes, and the flaky dude and his flake and the flakeathons. No, it's a different government altogether.
Yeah,
this is a very serious man, and he's really brought the liberals back to the center.
Yeah,
from Flaky Town, and he's done a pretty good job. I think that's inspiring a lot of people. They see this, his work at Davos, the speech at Davos, his ability to go around the world and making trade deals, and looking and exploring the ideas of a middle power and how they exist in the world today, particularly when you have Trumpism happening. So,
and again,
I think he's getting a lot of confidence. I don't know how long he's going to be last because the pressure must be incredible.
Yeah. Okay. One further MP that we prime minister that I must mention, who had 8 floor crossings, and that's Jean Chrétien.
Oh, I didn't know he had that many.
Mm.
I do remember some conservatives going, or liberals going over to conservatives. I remember 1 or 2 of those happening, but I don't remember the floor crossings that Chrétien had.
Yeah.
So here we have a situation where we have these floor crossings, and we've had them all of our political life as Canada, right since 1867. Now there seems to be a whole lot of resistance to this kind of thing is who is of the opinion that there should be a by-election? If someone's going to cross the floor, there should be a by-election.
Yeah, I'm always of that opinion. Yeah, I've always been of that opinion. Although in Britain, in Britain and in Canada, the system is the same, where there's no by-election with a floor crossing. I've only ever seen it once, and what happened is that MP said, I believe that I need to leave this party and I'm going to join the other party. And they crossed the floor and actually did actually have a by-election. I believe it occurred once, and they got elected.
Yes. Well, I would say that we haven't had any kind of precedent. When a person is voted for, actually, the person then, is their responsibility to make the decisions which is best for the community that they serve,
exactly,
plus the country, plus the country. So if somebody who has been duly elected then decides that the party that they're in are not serving well enough and decides to go to the party that is, that's their decision, based on the fact that they are the elected individuals, so they can do what they want. A lot of these people I would have thought would become independents myself. If they're not happy with the conservatives and then they don't want, I would become an independent, maybe caucus with the liberals, maybe just be completely independent. That's where I would go. If I was unhappy with my own party, but still ideologically unconnected with the party that is, I might just go independent.
So you'd end up with currently a set of 4 independents in the House. Being those 4 that have crossed. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure this won't be the end of it. I'm sure it won't. All right. Okay. So moving on. Deloitte, one thing we didn't cover yesterday, Deloitte is saying that oil and fuel prices will remain high throughout the rest of this current year. And their report is, Deloitte's an accounting and consulting firm, primarily known for accounting in North America. They're basically saying that oil prices are anticipated to average at $85 a barrel or higher during the rest of the year, and compared to an average of $67 a barrel in 2025. So $20 near enough $20 a barrel higher than last year.
Yeah, this is a report primarily made for investors and bankers and so on.
Actually,
so that they have an idea of what's going to happen in the economy going forward. And in the economy going forward, they're saying, and they said this like within weeks, within days actually, of the war happening. Once the oil prices and gas price go up, the gasoline prices, the oil prices go up, they're not going to come back down too soon. Because of the kind of damage that's been done to the infrastructure.
Deloitte being an accounting one, this is of course in part a warning to all their accounting type customers. Right. And
there's just a problem. It's just pretty much, we've analyzed the situation and this is what to expect. And it's got no political attributes or anything hooked to it politically. It is just a report, and the report says that this war started and it's going to take a long time for those oil and gas prices to come down. They will come down suddenly by 10 or 15 cents, but they're going to stay higher than they were. So where the price of a barrel of oil was $67 prior to the war beginning, they see that the price of a barrel of oil will not get below 80 cents or 85 cents for a long time yet to come. So right now it's at $1.10 or $1.11. It'll come down to, if the war does actually stop, it'll come down to around 80 cents, but not reach the 67 cents that was prior to the war because of the amount of damage that's been done.
Yeah, and basically the highest during the war period, West Texas crude got to 112.41, and Brent crude got to 118.35, and those are the two kind of oil trading markers that actually exist in the world. You know, that the Western world generally pays attention to.
Well, basically, that's the short-term pain that the whole world is suffering. Thank you very much, Donald Trump. If you want to have the short-term pain in your own country, that's fine. But thank you very much for having short-term pain everywhere else in the world. Everywhere else in the world, more gas prices.
Yeah, and currently West Texas Intermediate is trading at 99.33, and Brent crude futures are trading at 98.35. So they're kind of neck and neck almost there, you know, a little bit apart, as you would expect anyway.
Well, yeah. So I imagine like it is behoves the president of the United States now to try to bring those prices down. Otherwise, the shellacking at the midterms is going to be incredible. He may have stepped too far already and not being able to recover. But he has to start the recovery period by making sure those gas prices come back down and fertilizer gets out and all the other things that he's being criticized for.
You know, the interesting thing is about what we've seen here in the last few weeks is, of course, nobody. Let's be blunt about this. Nobody in the world actually has any patience whatsoever for the Iran government. But how many people are saying Iran looks a million miles better than does the US right now?
Trump was a dummy for getting out of the Obama deal that they had with Iran. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but because Obama's plan had eyes everywhere. It had China, Russia, Germany, UK, the United States. I forget the other countries involved. They were all eyeballing Iran. China did not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Russia does not want them to have a nuclear weapon. The USA does not want them to have a nuclear weapon. The other people involved in Obama's plan did not want them to have a nuclear weapon. They were all over the Iranians, and they had their eyes on them. They couldn't centrifuge one little drop more of uranium if it wasn't under their eyes. Then Trump comes along and cuts out the deal. Yeah. And once they cut out the deal, Biden tried to put it back together again, but the Iranians now don't trust the U.S., of course. Yeah. So they start to centrifuge more uranium.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
This so I the whole idea that anyway.
Yeah. One thing that Paul Amir is saying is there are many whack jobs out there that are saying $200 a barrel will be happening this year, but he doesn't think so. All right, Mike is saying $200 a barrel. That would be too ugly. And yes, you're right.
I don't think it'll happen because Trump is politically astute. As much of a tool he is of Bibi, he does have his own power. And he got dragged into this with Bibi, and he's not too happy with Bibi. All reports saying, but he sees that he was duped into this. But he is a politically astute. If the barrel of oil goes over $200, that's going to ruin his chances, and in the midterm and so on. So he has got to bring that oil price down somehow.
Yeah,
and then find a way to claim victory. I don't care. Yeah, you won. Just stop throwing bombs. And let's get back to normal.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what most of us feel in the West right now anyway, right?
Yeah, they're killing too many people, really. I mean, and the whole very idea of threatening to obliterate an entire civilization in one night, that's, well, we kind of know that he wasn't going to do that, but nobody was really sure. And I guess that was the power of the deal. Basically, I'm going to obliterate you, or we're going to just erase you from the world. but the very idea that he was going to knock out power plants, desalination plants, and bridges and roads. If he knocks out desalination plants, he causes a lot of suffering and death. If he knocks out power plants, that's the same thing. Lots of suffering and death. Yeah, nobody's going to be on your side if you do that. That's what the Israelis have done to Gaza. They've just dropped bomb after bomb after bomb on it and obliterated the whole place. And still they didn't win against Hamas.
Yeah.
They killed 72,000 people and injured 200,000 more and made no house available for anyone to sleep in. No amount of clean water, no amount of electricity, no universities or schools or hospitals left. And yet Hamas is still there. Do you think you're going to do any better in Iran using the same tactics?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Don't know that we've got anything else to say in relation to the fuel prices. So let's move on. Just to remind everybody, and it comes at an appropriate time. Yes, we're just getting out of winter. Perhaps we won't see any more snowfall in this spring. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Right. Yeah.
Well, look.
Right.
Look, but you can get snow. Like, do not think you're not going to get snow in the month of April.
I'm not saying that.
You could. Like, I can't tell you. There's a number of times at the end of April there's been snow drifts.
Yeah.
And if you're still getting snow on May 1st, then you have the perfect right to go to the church and demand restitution. Look, big guy, this is May. You're dumping snow on us. We'll give you April, but not May. So, you know what I mean? But,
well, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure we can blame it on the church. All right. Okay. So bylaw 2025-16 starts in October the 1st, 2026, and says Niagara Falls residents must clear snow and ice from sidewalks adjacent to their property within 24 hours of snowfall. And this was adopted in February of 2024. The aim of this is to improve pedestrian safety. And so just to remind you that come this winter, there's a new snow bylaw out there.
I was just thinking, do you think we should have negotiations with God? Hey, buddy, you can have April, you can dump snow on us in April, but you can't in May. You think so?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who this person you're talking about is.
Oh, the big guy upstairs. Or is it Mother Nature? Did he delegate that to Mother Nature?
Confusing me, man. I don't know of any God. What's a God? Right.
Well, we'll have to go talk to the Pope, see what he says.
Okay. You talk to the Pope.
Yeah. I'll write him a letter. Hey, buddy, look, there is a threat that we definitely want to draw a line. And April 30th, that's it. The last day for possible snow. That's it right there. And we want it written down.
See what
signature.
See what Pope Louis was going to say. Pope Louis the 11th? Or 13th?
Yes.
Can't remember. See what Mr. Louis is going to say.
The American guy.
Yeah. Yeah. At least you can talk the same language as him. You don't have to, but you can have a conversation in English rather than have to learn Latin in order to make that conversation work.
Well, if he starts using his heavy Chicago dialect, I'm not so sure I'll understand it.
Oh, you got something against Chicagoans?
No, it's just that sometimes, like, I don't know if they want bratwurst or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, I was in Chicago before. I'm just making fun, of course. They have a unique accent, let me tell you. I mean, among the working class. I was there for a convention, and the guys from Chicago, boy, they had quite an accent. The ones that it's kind of like, sometimes it's sort of parodied on TV. But if you get a really thick Chicago accent, wow, it's kind of neat.
Well, okay, so I'm going to counterbalance that with, well, what's it like to the Glaswegian accent?
Oh, I can't understand Glaswegians or Geordies. Forget it. Glaswegians, hey Jimmy, can you give us a drama? Can you give us enough money can you give us enough brass for a drama the wee pub over there. So sometimes
I think you're confusing Geordie and Glaswegian there, Dave.
It probably is because I when they lay it on thick, it's pretty hard to understand.
Yeah, I worked for about a year in Glasgow, and have to say it was one of the most interesting times I ever had, because first time I ever moved up there, it took me 3 days to adjust and understand what the heck they were saying. Once you get tuned in, I never actually responded in any Glaswegian tongue. Wouldn't do that. That's disrespectful. But at least once you get tuned in, you understand it, and then you go away for the weekend, and then it takes you 3 hours to get back attuned with it again.
Did you ever get yourself a Glasgow kiss?
No.
You know what a Glasgow kiss is, eh? It's a headbutt.
Yeah.
When they fight, they use their head first.
Never got one.
They use their head like they're playing soccer.
But you see, I did
drive their head right into your nose.
I did try some of their fried delights up in Glasgow. You know, they've got the fried Mars bar, the fried pizza.
So you didn't get into the sheep gut with stuffed with shit.
No.
That's
you can go anywhere near there.
Yeah. So I remember talking to an Englishman, and he was talking about that. What's that thing that the Scots eat with the sheep stomach?
You mean haggis?
Haggis, yeah. So I asked this Englishman, "Oh, you've been up in Scotland?" He said, "Yeah." She said, what's that haggis thing like? He says, it's a sheep stomach stuffed with shit.
Yeah, but when an Englishman says shit, he doesn't mean shit.
I know. He doesn't mean that. But I just had to laugh, right?
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Moving on. Okay. So, so just be aware. Come this winter, you're going to have to clear your own lot from snowfall. All right.
Yeah. So what is that? Is that now other communities? To me, it's never a big thing, but here it seems to be a big thing because it's never been a rule. But where I came from in Scarborough, when I grew up, it's automatic. In Toronto, it was automatic. You got out there and you started shoveling your walkway for your neighbors and yourself, right? You just did it. It was part of the sort of the community responsibility. Here, everybody's crying. Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, it's too much work for me. So I don't know, man. Like, I mean, it's just a simple thing. I'm completely in agreement with it. Get out there, shovel your sidewalk. I've always done that. I don't know what the big deal is, but everybody's such a wimpy crybaby in this town.
Well, I think given the winter we just had, a few of the people on my street, it's taken them several days to actually shovel the sidewalk area, because it's taken them several days to get through the driveway. You know, so the sidewalk comes a second priority to the driveway. And besides which, if they come and tell me that I've got to shovel my sidewalk area, I'm going to be saying, what sidewalk? We don't have any in this area. Just because my front's made of concrete doesn't mean it's city owned.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm lucky because I'm on Thorstone Road and I'm in a condo, and the city does plow the snow off the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Get out there and help your neighbor, help your community. This is something you can do. And the city's made it very clear that they can't do it because it's going to cost too much. What do you want? Do you want lower taxes, or do you want to contribute?
You're not going to get my argument. I'm not going to argue against you, Dave. Absolutely not. I think with one or two exceptions, you obviously you have to be on the lookout for your neighbor, any neighbors that you've got that are elderly or more infirmed.
Kids. I'm thinking, the elderly for sure. But when I was living in my last house, I had a huge sidewalk, enormous, because
Yeah.
I had a pie-shaped lot, right? And it was a huge pie-shaped lot.
Yeah.
And so I had an incredibly long sidewalk. Well, I would get out there and I would shovel it, and I had a little 5-horse snowblower, which sometimes it was a pretty tough little unit, but I had to do a lot of shoveling with that little unit anyway. And because there was kids in the neighborhood. And not only did I do that, but the neighbors I had were a couple of ladies, and they didn't have a shovel. I could see that, right? So I would do theirs, so make it right down to the corner, so the kids could walk on the sidewalk all the way down to the corner. That was my main concern there, is make sure the kids had a place to walk, just a little safe, rather than walking on the street, because I would see them walking on the street. I say, oh no, that's no good. Come on, over the sidewalk.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts about that?
No, I just to me it's a no-brainer. I think you're going to have a lot more of this anyway. We expect the government to do everything for us. Do our sidewalks, do this, do that. Government has to do all this stuff, and at the same time, we're telling the government your taxes are too high. Well, here's something very clear. Our government, our city government, is saying it's going to cost us too much to clear the sidewalks. You got to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. So opposition critics. Sorry, I'm trying to get this one up. It's not working for me right now. Right. Opposition critics are saying that the appointment of the regional chair shows a disdain for democracy, and they want the release of a report on regional reform, while many government MPPs are declining interviews.
Yeah, this is very, very important. And that document, basically, in 2019, there was a study done about regional government and how to fix it or adjust it or anything, the efficiencies and disefficiencies. Since that report was made, the Ontario government has refused to let that study out.
Yeah.
What's that all about? They have refused to release the study, even under, Freedom of Information Act. They still refuse to let it out. So the big thing is, here is the Ford government trying to change municipal government that sort of suits them. Basically, they can appoint a regional chair, et cetera, et cetera. But the actual study that they commissioned to determine what is best for the regions of Ontario, they will not release.
Yeah.
And why not? Why won't you release it?
Yeah.
Why not give us that so we can?
I'll tell you for why is, despite our declining voting figures, I still think that probably the vast majority of reasonable thinking people, whatever side of the political spectrum they are on, would still believe that it would be right to vote for 12 representatives and the regional chair as a part of our regional election, rather than have the mayors automatically appointed.
Well, it's just a mystery here when in this particular case, it is it's from the Waterloo area, not from Niagara.
Yeah.
So they're having the same problem we're having.
Yeah.
Whereas the Doug Ford government is going to appoint the next chair, and their chair hasn't passed away, not like ours, right? Yeah. And they're still in place. And they decided, they're going to appoint the next chair and get rid of the duly elected chair, and change the region. And they're going to do this, it seems, without much deliberation with the local people, whatever. Yeah. And not only that, but what is really and they're saying, okay, you're going to appoint a chair for somebody that's a progressive conservative that's given a lot of donations. You're going to get that chair. You know what I mean? And
that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Because the chair of each region shouldn't be the same political party as the premier. In fact, there's a lot of argument to say that you'll get better diversity and better policy around the entire province if we've got NDP chairs or Liberal chairs as well, right? Not just Conservatives.
Yes, and I don't know, but the Conservative MPs in and around the area, MPPs in and around the area, won't say a thing, right? They won't make a comment at all. They're just hiding. Hiding, and it shows the annual taxation, municipal spending, regional spending. They're not doing too bad over there in Waterloo. As far as it doesn't look like they're mounting too much of a deficit recently, and anyway, according to their expenditures showed here. So it looks like they're handling themselves very well economically. So why is there a problem? Why would you want to change something that seems to be working, at least is balanced budget wise?
Yeah.
Appointing a regional chair with strong powers speeds decision making, supports lower municipal costs, and aligns better with provincial priorities meant to advance housing and promote economic development, the Ford government says. Now, the Waterloo regional government employs almost 4,400 people in full-time jobs, levies $771 million in municipal taxation, and is bigger than 3 city halls and 4 township halls. Okay, it goes on. That there is a growing consensus that they are overgoverned. But as we've said before, reducing the amount of politicians is not going to, on the bottom line, what you got in your bank account is not going to make much difference if you dump some politicians. I think
there are, for example, I forget what the name of the region is, but for example, the name of the region that covers Brampton and Mississauga, there's a certain amount of truth in the fact that people who live in Brampton and Mississauga would argue that the regional government there has zero relevance because you've got 2 large cities in Brampton and Mississauga, and that those 2 city governments are as effective as they're ever going to be for both those areas. So there's no region that's going to have any impact in those 2 areas.
It says here that Fife and Clancy joined long-standing calls for Ford to release a report on regional government reform it commissioned in 2019. So Ford's government commissioned a report in 2019 and came back with conclusions. And that Ford government will not release that report, not even under freedom of information. They don't, and it says, and the complainants here are saying in that report is something that he doesn't want us to see. If we're going to restructure our governance model, we should review the evidence and then actually reduce the number of politicians in the regions, not appoint just a yes man. So what they want to do is they want that report released. They want the evidence. Like, that was a report. It cost $127,000 to make just for that region. And they want to know what it is. What is it? What did you find out? What can we change? What's there that you found out that is good or bad or indifferent? Now, the Ford government obviously doesn't want to release it because there are alternatives to the way in which they want to manage things. Now, Ford's becoming a little bit of a dictator himself. I think he's being inspired by the guy down south. But anyway, he likes that dictatorial power. Me first, I'll say what you get. You don't need to elect anybody. I'll just appoint a few people for you, and they'll tell you what to do. Yeah, so we are in a situation where the government of Ontario, and I will say rightly so, wants more efficiencies and wants reduction and wants to speed up things. Housing is a big thing. That was the big motivator.
Yeah.
There was too many levels of bureaucratic nonsense to get in the way of new housing. So he wanted to get rid of that. But I think he's taken it a step too far, and he wants to be able to do that with everything now.
Yeah. And of course, Mike is saying what I'm saying. The regional chair should be elected, and again, even if we only have 12 representatives plus a regional chair, those 12 representatives should be voted by the population of those cities in question.
Well, you're too dumb to elect somebody that's representative. That's obviously what the Ford government said. We'll take care of this. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. You don't need elected officials.
Well, I'll debate smartness with Doug Ford anytime. Come, Dougie, come, Dougie.
Well, what he wanted to do, and there has to be something in it, because a lot of the mayors around here are for that, or actually leaning that way, where the only people in regional council would be the mayors, the 12 mayors, and one appointed chair, and the chair would have the equivalent of strong mayor powers to get things done. What Ford wants to do is start to get things done. He finds the governments that in and around Ontario are slow and bogged down. And good morning, Karen. How you doing? Let's see you. And bogged down. And on the other hand, we still have to have a democracy, don't we? We are unhappy if we don't have our democracies. So I don't know. There's got to be some middle ground here, and I would sure like to see that report opened up. And why doesn't the Ford government allow that report to happen? They were the ones that commissioned it back in 2019, and for some reason they're not sharing it.
Yeah.
And in that report was a report that was to advise on regional government reforms.
And I bet part of that was critical. Part of that report was probably critical about loss of opposition, opposition political views within regional or municipal government, and how that might be detrimental to the democracy process.
Yeah. Okay. So it's an ongoing struggle. We'll see what comes out of it, but we can see that Waterloo's having the same problem we are.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else in relation to that?
Nope.
No, I don't think so either. Okay.
Hey, look, if Doug keeps it up, I'll challenge him to a cage match.
Cage match. Yep. Okay. So like the cage match you challenged the big guy down south to.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll take on any authoritarian.
Well, actually, I think you've got a greater chance of actually having a cage match with Dougie, because he's such a nice guy. He wants to appeal to all the people like yourself across the province. So give him a call. Send him an email. He answers. He sometimes answers his mobile phone.
I don't know. He gets along with Carney too good. I think Carney's going to get his manager and slip him concealed objects in the match. I need somebody to watch out for that when we have our cage match.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing let into the cage.
Yeah, I think Carney's going to be his manager and slip in the concealed object, right?
All right. Okay. ArcelorMittal is shuttering one of its last remaining coke plants.
Yeah, this is a double-edged sword for me when I saw that, because I know those old coke ovens. I've worked on minorly the coke ovens in Dofasco, but I did a major job in the ones in Lake Erie Works Stelco. I was working on those coke ovens for months, and I tell you, they are just spew out terrible stuff. They can kill you. You have to carry around these little monitors that will beep off if there's too much H2S, because that'll kill you. The stuff that's you smell that smells like rotten eggs, in concentration, you can't smell it. If you smell a little bit of it, you got to get the heck out of there, because because in strong concentrations you can't smell it at all, and then you just die.
What you mean? You don't have a cage which has got a canary in it that can tell you when it's problematic?
I just used to put an iron worker ahead of me and see if he fell down at me.
Oh,
hey, buddy, iron worker.
There's.
I'm sorry I called you a bolt head earlier. Come on, iron worker, buddy. You go first.
So there's tension between the brotherhoods, eh?
Oh God, yeah. Well, there's a constant battle between ironworkers, boilermakers, and millwrights, but we duke it out with ironworkers a lot more. And
Okay, so essentially, what is happening here is that they are replacing this with an electric arc furnace, EAF. And that these electric arc furnaces, they're hoping to get it completed in 28, but in fact the project's now been delayed a little bit for 29. So is that actually what is tied to the timing of the closure of coke, number 3 coke plant?
Well, they still have a coke oven going, and the whole plan is to remove the coke ovens because they do make a lot of pollutants. However, one thing they're not saying here is there's a byproduct that come off of those coke ovens, and they make a whole lot of money off the byproduct that comes out. So if you're running your coke ovens right, and the fumes of those coke ovens are diverted to a different plant, they can separate the butane out of it. They can separate all that stuff that was used to discharged into the air. They can break it down and make all kinds of other things like butane and propane and all kinds of other things that can get out of that. So that's what they do down in Lake Erie Works. Now, these coke ovens in Dofasco might be too old to have that apparatus attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, all coke ovens leak a little bit. And what coke ovens are is, of course, you put coal in long, thin ovens, and you heat it up without adding oxygen. So what you do is you get all the impurities out of the coal, and they are taken off and made into other things. And that coal now turns into coke, which is just pretty much pure carbon.
Yeah,
that's the essential thing.
And that is what you
do at a certain point. They have a pusher car, and that pusher car pushes there'd be a whole battery of ovens, and they're all long, thin ovens, tall, long, thin ovens. And then there would be a pusher car comes along with a long sort of sideways ram, and it pushes from one end of the oven into the other into a rail cars sitting below. So you got this red hot coal now that's turned into coke, and then you take it to a quencher where you dump a lot of water on it, and you stop the heat process. So now what you have is carbon, and then you can feed that into your blast furnace. However, they want to go with a different system. Electric arc is one, and hydrogen is another. Making enough hydrogen with electricity and sort of duplicating and adding a little bit of an electric arc furnace is another. Some of the steel made in Algoma is done this way. There is problems. There is problems. There is that as yet they haven't got it down so that you can make as good a steel as you can with the coke. Remember, the carbon, the small amounts of carbon are part of the alloy, which is steel.
Yeah.
So where are you going to get the carbon now?
Yeah.
So you might have to add the carbon.
Yeah. So what would they do? Be adding carbon dust in with the electric arc furnaces?
It depends on what kind of steel you want. The steel is made of the major alloy, of course, is carbon, but they can put copper and magnesium and everything else inside the vessels when they bring in the ore and pour it into the vessels. They can add the scrap and copper and aluminum and all other things. Usually those other metals make the steel cleaner and more pure, but sometimes they can add qualities to the steel. Stelco has a very, very sort of reputation to having good quality steel, but so does Dofasco, and they feed the auto industry in and around here.
Yeah.
My worry here is that coke ovens, once you shut down a coke oven, you can't turn it back on again, because it's a real long process in order to get a license to do a coke oven.
I'm presuming that since they're not expecting these electric arc furnaces to come fully online until 29, that they're expecting these coke ovens to last. That the number 3 coke plant will be closing by 29. I'm assuming there'll be time.
Well, what they can do here, when I was working on the coke ovens in Stelco, they were bringing in coke from other places. They went to the United States, where they had overcapacity. They had old coke ovens there that were still operating, and they were bringing in all kinds of coke.
Oh, okay. So you're
from the U.S. So when they were doing that, Stelco would probably provide Dofasco with the coke it needs, because they do that. Even though they're competitive, it's in their best interest to have these steel plants keep going in Ontario. So I've worked in both Stelco and Dofasco, where Stelco is either helping Dofasco through their shutdown or the other way around. I once worked on a walking beam inside of a reheat furnace, and so Stelco couldn't roll their steel because this walking beam hadn't been working for a while, and we spent night after night after night. It was a 24-hour shift. Sadly, I was on the night shift, but welding, trying to fix this walking beam, and in the meantime, Dofasco was rolling the steel for Stelco, and Stelco will do the same thing back for it. So I imagine if they needed coke, if their coke oven went down, they'll get some from Stelco.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, good to know that even though the competitors, that they work with each other. All right. Okay. All right. Last item of the day, probably appropriate. Canada's pushing for Lebanon inclusion in the ceasefire deal. Apparently, there's belief out there that by the Iranians that they were in the deal, but the Americans have been saying they are not.
Well, if you read the deal released by the Pakistanis, it's very clear that Lebanon is part of it.
Yeah.
When the deal was accepted or thought to be a workable model to go forward, and let's say it's not a deal, Trump did not accept it as a deal. Vance did not accept it as a deal. It's sort of a starting point for negotiations. So that's what it is. And in order to begin this, you need a ceasefire. But in the original document that was sourced from the Pakistanis, one of which is a friend of Donald Trump, the field marshal of the main field marshal of the Pakistani military. I forget his name, sadly, but he was the one that started this whole thing, and he got it going. And it's very clearly written in that Israel has to stop bombing Lebanon as part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Just about everywhere else in the world is saying the same thing. It was in the document. It was part of the deal for the ceasefire that Israel has to stop pounding Lebanon. Well, as soon as Israel heard this, the first thing they did was pound the crap out of Lebanon, right in the middle of cities, killed about 240 people in one day, and some of them children. And Trump is in a quandary right now because Bibi tells him what to do, not the other way around. So Trump says, he phoned Bibi and asked him to tone it down a bit, instead of saying what he should say: "Stop it, you jerk. You want any more weapons? You want more bombs? You do what I tell you. I'm not going to do what you tell me." But that's not what happens, is it? It was the same as Biden. Biden was slapped around steady by Bibi, right?
Oh yeah.
Like everybody was complaining about about Gaza and what Israel was doing in Gaza, and Biden said, "Oh, that's bad. Here, have some more missiles. Here, have some more bombs." And everybody complained how Bibi was pulling Biden around by the nose, and now Trump is being pulled around by the nose. Come on, who's the boss? Anyway, so he had to beg Netanyahu to sort of go into ceasefire mode with Hezbollah, and of course Bibi said, "Oh, Hezbollah has been calling us all day long for peace talks, so I guess I'll do it." That was his interpretation. What happened was Trump phoned him and said, "Look, you got to help me out here because I got to get that strait open."
Yeah. Well, and at the moment, the whole question is that I think it was clear. I think it was clear to the rest of the world that Lebanon, that the Hezbollah and Lebanon was included within that deal.
Yeah, it was clearly written.
Yeah,
like the deal was plain as anything. It includes that. It clearly includes that in the original text. Yeah. And then Vance says, "Oh, well, there's been a communication problem. It didn't include Hezbollah." No, it did. It says so right there. Yeah. If you read the document, I mean, you can't miss it.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's it's Donald Trump that was calling for the cessation of hostilities, and because he wants a deal to reopen the Straits of Hormuz, and I think Pakistan has. Could there have been a better deal? Probably, but Pakistan has worked hard on getting this deal through.
It's a prelude to a deal. It's not a deal. It's a prelude to a deal. And the suspicions here, and the reason why the Iranians turned down the 45-day ceasefire is because they felt that the U.S. and Israel were just going to reload and bomb them. They gave them a lot of time to plan the next move. So Iran was very suspicious of having a 45-day shutdown where they could plan and rearm and get more bombs ready to go. Also, another thing that the Iranians are really worried about is that as soon as they start opening up diplomatic channels, the Israelis can follow those channels and find other people to kill, assassinate. So as soon as communication begins between one leader and another, or one negotiator and the leaders, then those communication lines can be followed, and Israel can wipe out another leader here and there, like they've been doing the whole time. Yeah. This is a frustration for Trump, though, because he didn't want all those layers of dead. He wanted a couple of them left, so he had somebody to negotiate with. So the three levels of leadership that he says that are wiped out, he wanted at least the third one level to have somebody to talk to. Now it's hard to find anyone to talk to.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about it is Hezbollah has often been described as a thorn in Israel's side, but Hezbollah also is not primarily in Israel. It's primarily a Lebanese organization.
Lebanese and Syrian, yeah. Their power has been diminished incredibly because the Syria has pushed them out. Syria has also pushed out the Iranians. So the Iranians and the Hezbollah, which was their proxy, have been pushed out of Syria. They've been defeated in Syria by the new leader there. However, in Syria, you still have a lot of problems with ISIS. That's their big problem now. But they got rid of the Shia militias, which is probably a good thing. Now, which is a bad thing, Israel is walked their way into Syria and taken some land there. That's going to be a bone of contention. And the 30 kilometers that they want to keep inside Lebanon, that's going to be a bone of contention too. Mm-hmm. It's the Greater Israel project that is Netanyahu's going to get as much as he can out of his useful idiot Trump. Trump's got to have to wake up, and I think he's waking up pretty soon, that he's being walked down the garden path here. And you see what kind of problems he's having all over. His MAGA is just ripped apart. Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Alex, whatever his name is, Jones, they're all, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're all going mad against them. you told us you were going to be the peace president. You were not going to spend vast amounts of money in a war in the Middle East. And that's what he's done. He's spent enormous amounts of money in the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, in fact, actually, there's also that's, I don't quite know why I didn't put them up, because aside from anything else, there's basically calls within. So Representative Joe Morales is calling for Trump's removal from office, as are some MAGA people calling for Trump's removal from office.
Yeah, some Republicans are saying the same thing, particularly when he started talking about wiping out a civilization overnight. That was a bridge too far, even for the Republicans who are obsequious, bow down to Trump people. They don't have their own mind, but this is jogging them. This is too scary even for them, So Trump is in a bad place right now. He's got to get out of this somehow, and he's got to dump Bibi. Like, Bibi's got too much power over him.
Yeah.
But the Israeli lobby may not be as powerful as it was. It's beginning to lose power, it seems, and he may be able to make a move. But in the meantime, he is beholden to the Adelson family and others. And, of course, his own son-in-law is an ardent Zionist. That would be Jared Kushner. And Witkoff, he's also a Zionist. He's also a Jewish Zionist. So where is he going to go? He's surrounded himself with people who kowtow to Bibi. So what's he going to do? He's got to make a mind of his own. And that's going to be hard because of the politics that happen in the United States. The power of AIPAC and the Israeli lobby is extreme. And he himself is tied in with the Adelson family and all those others that filled up his campaign coffers.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things is Joe Morelli is actually quite local to us. He's from the Rochester area. And he said in a video statement that he'll vote to remove him, whether it's by the 25th Amendment or an impeachment vote in the House of Representatives, because at the moment, President Trump is unfit for office, right?
Well, I think I think Trump's going to be pushed out before the end of the year, is my estimation, because he's sounding like he's lost his mind. Any major leader, particularly the United States, who is supposed to be more of a moral leader in the world than anyone else, and then says they're going to wipe out a civilization in one night. Even saying such a thing
is so unpresidential and very much grounds for both impeachment and, well, I don't know, criminal charges, but certainly I think if Mark Carney had said such a thing, there'd be such a furore in Parliament that he wouldn't have a party anymore.
He wouldn't last a day. His own party would throw him out.
His own party would throw him out. He would not have a party if that came from any Western prime minister. They'd be gone.
But that's not happening in the United States, because a lot of these people, Johnson, Hegseth, all these guys are like Christian Zionists. Like Miller is a Zionist. They're all either Christian Zionists or Zionists, and they all go around praying a whole lot. And Hegseth says, fighting for Jesus, this is God's will going to Iran, and it's a worthy crusade. Like, he's just out of it. Like, he's weird. He's having prayer sessions in the Pentagon. Like just a complete weirdo. He's surrounded by weirdos. The president's surrounded by weirdos. Miller is a weirdo. You ever listen to him? He's really off the rails. Like, he's a nut job.
I'm going to ask this.
Him, Bondi, and Noam and Musk are minor idiots compared to him.
But this question has to be asked: is turning over the presidency to the vice president any better?
No, but I think there is like sort of plans afoot. I think more than one person, maybe even a lot of the Republicans or whatever are saying, well, can we get J.D. Vance, or who do we want? Do we want Rubio instead? We definitely don't want the orange man. So that's pretty much what I think is happening now. Donald Trump can be said that he's showing signs of Alzheimer's, like what did his dad in. They can make that claim. They can maneuver. I think there's going to be maneuvers to get Trump out of the way. I think Vance and Rubio are more capable. I'm not so sure about that. Rubio is he can change his stripes at any moment, but sounds like he's a reasonable guy. One day he can say white is black, and then the next day he can say black is white, and he can say red is green, but he can make it sound as if he knows what he's talking about. But Trump is getting to the point where he's just raging on and on. Why do you think he's got to think to himself, why do the MAGA base fighting him so hard on this? Why is Tucker Carlson, who is an ardent follower of Trump? What about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is an ardent follower of Trump, really behind him? Candace Owens, this guy Jones, Alex Jones, and there's more. There's even Megyn Kelly's flipped out on him too. So all these propagandists that were in his corner, they're not in his corner anymore. And why? Yeah. He's got to ask himself why. Yeah. And that's because they said, you promised us no more wars.
Yeah. And there's a lot of this out there, right? So, obviously the whole time we've been talking, there has been always calls by Democrats for Trump's removal. That's not unusual here, because that's the opposition party. But what's coming is actually when it's the MAGA base itself that is asking for his removal, and that's what's different about this.
Yeah, I can't understand, like guys like Johnson and other politicians in the Senate, Republicans in the Senate and in the Congress. Remember, they're not all for him. Remember, the Congress that's more rich in Republicans than it is Democrats, in the Senate as well, both voted against Trump getting rid of the USMCA, that trade agreement. Even though the Republicans, they do not follow him when it comes to the trade agreements. And they've had two symbolic votes against him when it comes to the trade agreements with Canada and the trade agreements with Mexico.
Yeah.
So there is people there that have their own mind, even though they feel threatened by Trump's primary and all that other stuff. And there's this massive resistance against AIPAC right now. So Trump's in a bad situation. He's got to, if he's a really good politician, he'll get himself out of this somehow. But the thing is, he's got to get that Strait of Hormuz open, and he's got to do it with the least amount of death as possible. That means, let's negotiate a way out of this. Let's pretend I won, and you can pretend you won. I'll pretend I win, and it's all over.
All right.
You're all fired.
But Paul is saying someone has lost their mind. It isn't Trump. If someone
has lost their mind, is it Bibi Netanyahu? It's Bibi Netanyahu who keeps dragging Trump around and doing making him do what he wants.
We'll leave it at that point, Dave, because we're already over time.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for the contributions, everyone. Thanks for adding your comments, and I will bring up Gaza like I do every day. I bring up Gaza. That is a Holocaust. It was a genocide. It was a gross thing that we allowed to happen here in the West. It was cruel and unusual punishment to a captive people that were kept in a reservation, a tiny reservation called Gaza. And of course they're going to resist. Of course they're going to fight back. Unfortunately, they had a guy named Yahya Sinwar that went stupid. Remember, Yahya Sinwar punished his own people as much as he did when he crossed that border. So they killed 1,200 people. And Israel responded by killing 72,000 people and destroying every house, every hospital, every school, every desalination plant, and every electrical generator plant. And 25,000 of those were children. Yeah, they're not a democracy. They're not. And you can see what they're doing in Lebanon right now. So the biggest problem the United States has right now is reigning in Israel, and Israel has too much power. Most of the Republican politicians are very afraid of Israel and AIPAC. So until they resolve that, I don't think we're going to be able to resolve too much. In any case, without further ado, I bid you adieu. Pray for peace.